What you see here is a tank, a reservoir. The panel, we have a solar panel. We use the solar to pump water from underground into that reservoir, that tank, overhead tank. Water from that tank will come down to serve these premises here. It will also irrigate plants here. We have, for example, corn farming here. You can see we have made corn farming. The water from the reservoir will go a long way to irrigate this corn farming. You can see very healthy corn farming with suture. And beyond there, you can see there is still farm. We have planted in a few things. But the reservoir the tank may not be enough. So we also don't want to waste water that will come from this house. We shall put gutters here, and we're now constructing an underground reservoir. An underground reservoir, you can see is going on, that will capture this water here, and it will supplement the water from the solar. And with that, we shall have enough water to do all year round. This is not an acre. This is maybe 3/4 of an acre. And we want to imagine and believe that from this 3/4 of an acre, you can produce what somebody produces in 10 acres, 5 acres or so. Why? If we go corn farming, like we have done here, imagine that all these corns, first, they are higher, up to 7 layers, and they are all placed in this land. This farm here, you can see, with one corn, you can multiply up to 5 times the amount of plant that would have been on the same ground below. So that means you can actually quadruple. You can produce 4 times more. So a quarter an acre can actually bring you a full acre. But depending on the height of the corn, a quarter an acre can actually produce for you even 2 acres. And therefore, and yet the water that needs to irrigate, the water that you need to irrigate the corn will be as little as this, all captured from rainwater or from solar water. In other words, you don't need to go to your municipal council to get the water from the taps. You just have to think a little, spend a little, get a solar panel. The solar panel will pump for you water into a reservoir, and you will irrigate. Indeed, even the bananas that you see beyond. Now you can see the houses beyond there, they don't have gutters. We are doing it here so that we start educating the village that this can be done. Look, you just take, this is just one man's work, slowly, and you don't have to be in a hurry, even when you don't have finances. You see, it is said that when you don't have finances, use your own labor. You can do village coalitions. You can do groups. You can do self-help groups, and then dig something like this. Yes. And then reserve or, collect the water from the roof, water from underground. And then with your 1/4 of an acre, 3/4 of an acre like you see here, you can start being self-sufficient and produce more than what 5 acres can produce. It also depends on the type of investment. For example, in a plot like this, if you just plant maize, you will harvest very little. But if you plant the vegetables like this one, for example, this is suture. You can see this suture has already been like bruned. If you look at that, like pruning. And as you prune, it now multiplies. It brings in more, offshoots. And when it brings offshoots, those are the ones that will be putting on seeds. So you are harvesting the leaves to sell, to use for eating, and you are actually making space for more to come up. And in a month or so, the seeds will also be harvested from here. So you see, you are harvesting seeds, you are harvesting vegetables, and therefore like killing two birds with the same stone. The place with a corn, you have actually multiplied 4 times what you would have put on ordinary ground. So the idea that land is getting finished, that land is dwindling because of population, yes, true. As population grows, then the demand for land also increases. Houses you can see around here. I'm told this place, this homestead was only one a long time ago, but this man was a polygamous man and he had very many children, and he subdivided all the land to these children, and therefore each child getting about 4 acres, some as little as this. Therefore, that proves that yes, with the population growth, land becomes a problem. But then, our poverty is upstairs. Lack of thinking, lack of entrepreneurship, lack of agripreneurship. You can see that with agripreneurship, entrepreneurship, we can utilize a very small piece of land to produce what we were producing on the big lands. This is corn farming. We can harvest the water, like I've said. All this roof can harvest water, and that water will make it all year round. If it is peas and cowpeas and things like you're seeing here, you can harvest up to 4 times, because these crops are, 3 months season. In 3 months you harvest, and then you replant. Therefore, you can harvest 4 times in a year, unlike maize, which you can harvest only once in a year. So this experiment that we're doing is actually to appetize the rural folk that you can still feed this nation if you can go scientific, if you can go away from the traditional method of doing things, from the traditional crops, and change. And yes, this soil that you see here is the one that has made those bricks that you see there. So in other words, we're saying we are digging the hole produces soil can make bricks. The hole will preserve water, will store water that is captured from the roots, and water will be used to irrigate greens. This being just 3/4 of an acre, horticultural crops will be a lot better. You can also do, we are experimenting here on millet. This is millet. We are experimenting there on sorghum. And these are traditional food, vegetables. Apart from the cowpeas here, traditional vegetables. And of course, along the edges of each little plot, you can plant there your maize for your eating. So you don't think that you are missing your maize by replacing them with the vegetables. And these vegetables will buy you maize 3 times that you would have produced here. So let's go agripreneurship. Let's think well. Let us not lament that land is dwindling and therefore we are going to starve. You can see, again, these are the corn farming. vertical farming. This corn farming, you can see now this is like a seed bed. We have put here, these are sukumas. We are also experimenting on maize. And in maize, we have a tomato there. And all this, we are now doing experimentation. You can see this again, the suture. They have been pruned, cut, so that they multiply, so that they produce more branches, and more branches will produce more seeds. So we have already sold the leaves. We have used them for eating. And in a week, 2 weeks, we shall still be pruning it. And after 1 month, we shall leave them now for seeds. Therefore, no, it is just like you are doing poultry. You are doing layers. You do layers, and when they have finished laying, then again you sell the X layers. So you do not lose. You always get some profit. So the idea here is agripreneurship, entrepreneurship, agripreneurship. Yes, even with a quarter an acre, you can produce enough for yourself and for selling. So let's not lament. Let us think again and know that we have still some resources that we can use. But let us not keep tradition. Keeping tradition, you know, if you keep doing what you have always been doing, and then you expect a different result, then somebody called that insanity. You have to do what we call creative destruction. You destroy the old habits, but replace them with the new and better habits. Yes, agripreneurship, creative destruction, doing new things, adding value to what you have always been doing. That is what will propel us ahead. And indeed, the solar can also power your TV. You can see the antenna there. So inside this hut, there is a TV that is also run on solar. So the solar is pumping water. The solar is also entertaining you in the house. You have your TV in the house. This is probably the way to go. Our governments need to create this awareness at county levels, at ward level. We need agricultural extension officers to be retrained, retooled in matters agripreneurship, and therefore that they will go out there and teach the farmer new ways of surviving, even better than we were surviving in the old. Lamenting over spilled milk is no cure. Lamenting over olden days. Oh, in the olden days we were doing this and the other. Oh, in the olden days our children were ABCD. Well, give a child this, a modern child this modern technology, and let him or her do vertical farming. The djembe, the hoe to dig all this land may be a hard task for the boys, modern boys, but modern ways of farming. You can go even digital. You can even have drones to come and water and irrigate this. Imagine with water in that reservoir and a drone, it goes in, picks the water, and goes around watering this land. A modern child, a modern student will enjoy operating that drone, but he may not enjoy holding the ox drawn plow to plow this land. So yes, we must employ technology. We must employ new methods. Technology and innovation, creativity, our institutions of learning. Let's move away from just mere academic theoretical dispensation and address the real issues. area of agriculture, the area of technology, I am sure they are now our panacea to our problems of dwindling resources.